Hi there, I'm Karen Drew here on Local 4 Plus. The city is gearing up for the Grand Prix to hit the streets of Detroit, and the event chairman and the IndyCar drivers are speaking at the Detroit Economic Club. Let's take you there.
All right, let's put our presiding officer to work. Tony Michaels, president and CEO of the Parade Company. You want to talk about impact? Think of the millions and millions of Detroiters and Southeast Michigan families that Tony and team bring together for his two signature events every year, Thanksgiving Day Parade, the upcoming fireworks in just a few weeks. Tony is a valued Detroit Economic Club board member, huge supporter of everything Detroit Economic Club, and more importantly, an amazing friend to me. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Tony Michaels.
Thank you, Steve. And I have to tell you, I'm honored today to be able to do this. And I met so many students earlier, and the Detroit Economic Club means so much to this community. And to be able to introduce Bud and these great race drivers today, it just made my day. So let's get started. Miles Rowe, an American racing driver who is set to compete in the 2025 Indy Next, driving for Able Motorsports with Force Indy. He's a 2023 USF Pro 2000 champion and competed in the 2022 USF 2000 championship with Pabst Racing as well as with Force Indy. Miles, come on up. Have a seat. Welcome. Santino Ferrucci, an American racing driver, competes in the IndyCar Series, driving the number 14 Chevrolet for A.J. Foyt Enterprises. He has also previously raced in the FIA Formula 2 Championship and NASCAR Xfinity Series. We cannot wait to watch these two drivers, come on up, to watch these two drivers on the streets of Detroit. I'm going to touch just on a couple of issues if I could. You talk about impact and you talk about putting Detroit on a stage. I've been very fortunate in my career to be around Roger a little bit. I'm like a quasi, thing. Our old company, we did the concessions at Michigan Speedway, so I kind of grew up watching this company. And one of the coolest moments was 20 years ago, and Bud Denker was hired by Roger, and I got to tell you, Roger knows great people, because this man, and for all of you students out there, I want to tell you, the key to success is being all in and doing the right thing 100% of the time. And Bud Denker exemplifies that. But the greatest call I ever received, they wanted to go to Belle Isle to put on the race, and the call I got was, no water, no electricity. Are you in? I said, yeah, we can pull that off. We can pull that off. And we did it, Belle Isle. And what Penske Corp did for Belle Isle is amazing. But think about downtown, and as you look out there right now, there is a city being built, a racing city. And they're going to tear that down. And Michael Montry, the amazing work that you and your team do. They're going to tear that city down, but that city is never going to go away because of the impact that they gave to the city, the state, America, and the world being on Fox Network coming up. Ladies and gentlemen, Bud Denker. We're going to take a look at a quick video here and then hand it over to Bud.
Get ready. Get ready. Green, 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 green. Grand Prix. No more.
The Grand Prix will only enhance the energy and excitement of downtown. And with more than half of the circuit open to fans for free, everyone will have the opportunity to experience an incredible race weekend.
Back on the streets of downtown Detroit, the Grand Prix brings energy and engagement to the city. We're revved up to be a part of that excitement.
Thank you. It's great to be here today, and Steve, thank you for the introduction and the welcome to be here, and Tony for allowing us to be here as well. And as you said, you've been a friend of mine for a long time on a personal level, and thank you for all you do for our city as well. You know, we're only 24 days away until you're going to hear world-class racing happen again in our city streets of Detroit. You know, I was thinking this morning, I was trying to count in my head, there's about 15 cities in the world that have racing in their urban environment, and we're one of them. 15 in the world. So how lucky are we to have that opportunity here in our city? Yeah. You know, we should never take advantage of that, because it shouldn't take it for granted, because it's going to bring about $100 million of benefit to our city. The streets, the hotels are already filled. I tried to get in the Shinola last night. It's sold out. It's amazing what it's done for our city here in terms of economic benefit, but also putting a spotlight, as Tony mentioned, on this beautiful city of ours that can be nowhere to be done, of course, unless you have a worldwide audience that we're going to have here in 24 days. But I'm here to talk a little bit about racing with these two world-class athletes next to me, Miles Rowe and Santino Ferrucci. And, you know, Tony mentioned in Miles' introduction, he's a champion. And let me just say this. He is the first black open-wheel racing champion in the world. So congratulate him for that as well. So, Miles, people always want to know, and I'll ask Santino the same question, you know, how you got into racing. You started late, by the way, in most standards. So talk about how you got into racing and what's happening since then.
Yeah, I started late, but you could still start much later, I must say. I started when I was 12, indoor go-karting, which was basically a much more affordable way for me and my father to branch into motorsports, because I didn't have to have my own helmet, my own suit, and go-kart, for example. I could show up to this venue, kind of like a K1 Speed or something, where you go with your friends and play arcade games, and they had a league, and so you could sign up and show up and race and earn points towards this championship. And so that's how I got started. That's how I learned how to drive, and I met a lot of good friends there that I still talk to this day. And actually, that was my first year running, and I won the championship in my first year there, and so we knew I had a talent there. I got scouted a little bit there and got my first sponsor, and the dominoes kind of fell for me to be able to basically get my own go-kart after that, and then run national championships and keep on going and pursuing motorsport. But without that indoor league, without kind of searching it up on Google when I was a kid and kind of trying to pursue that and figure out how to get my foot in the door, I wouldn't be here today. And so that was essentially how I started, and it just all kind of fell from there.
Yeah, we'll talk a minute about Roger Penske's impact on you as well. Santino, how about yourself? 5 years old, I understand, but you went to Europe as well and had to race in Europe, right?
Yeah, I started at 5 years old at a karting track in upstate New York. I was actually going to stop karting when I was about 9 or 10 years old, so my second dream was to become a prosecutor and a lawyer. So I was getting ready to go back to school and really focus in on reading some law books. But weekends and club days, I'd go out to Lime Rock Park, which is a local track in Connecticut, clean windshields, set tire pressures, do driver coaching. I understood the data systems really well and helped some of the gentleman drivers. And I got very fortunate with a couple of them wanting to help pursue my career, which propelled me into Europe, to where I'd won a couple of karting championships at that point, and then started my car career over there in FIF3, into GP3, to what is now Formula 2. And I was the test and development driver for Haas Formula 1 for a few years. Got a very interesting break in IndyCar. My debut race was in 2018 here in the streets of Belle Isle. So this place is very special to me. My birthday is on this event almost every year too. So it's very memorable. It always has been. It's got a close place in my heart. And from there, now I've been in my third season of IndyCar racing with AJ Foyt. And I'm very fortunate to be in the position I am today, and I'm very excited to be here in front of everybody.
Thanks, great. You know, 5 years ago, Penske Corporation bought the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, and with that, we've also bought the IndyCar Series. And the first thing we did when we bought the series was to look at how inclusive our sport is and was. And you'll see it here in Detroit, for instance. Remember, in Detroit, half of our racetrack is open for free to anybody who wants to come down and watch it. You can't find that anywhere else in any kind of stick and ball sport. But in IndyCar racing, we felt we needed to be more inclusive as well. And our goal is to have a black driver racing in the Indy 500 here someday. What do you think? Anyway, so we started a program then, Driving for Change, and part of that program was to support athletes like Miles. Miles, talk about the impact that Roger Penske, who's obviously an icon in our marketplace and has done so much for our city, what kind of impact has he made on you?
Yeah, I mean, it makes me kind of speechless because when I was getting started, you know, there were people like Roger really getting anybody really in the motorsport community. Everyone was kind of out for themselves. You had to find the network yourself. You had to get to the racetracks yourself. There was no outreach to the community to bring people in and basically expose, you know, everyone to the motorsport world. And what Roger's doing with the Race for Equality and Change, what the Detroit GP is doing to basically broaden motorsport's reach, show that, you know, there's more to just motorsport than being a driver. I mean, there's so many different occupations and ways where you can bring your influence in and bring your specialties in and help different teams and different series with your skill set. It's incredible. It's something I'm really happy to be a part of now, and something I think we'll see grow as time goes on. The friends I've made, especially the mechanics and engineers that I've met because of Roger's Race for Equality and Change program through Force Indy and everything is incredible. The impact they've had on the series and through the teams we've been with will last forever. Us winning the championship and beyond that, that's something that will stay with the series and motorsports forever. And it's something that I think is a good example to the whole world itself.
One more question regarding that, then I'll turn to Santino. The 99 is the number on your car. By the way, he races for Force Indy, number 99. What's so special about that number?
Yeah, so we wanted to use the number 99 because there was a driver in the past, Raj Jack, who had trouble getting into the speedway as a black, as African American, and also winning with the number. He never got the chance to win with the number. And so we wanted to take the number and put it on our car and represent him and win with the number, which we have done now. We've won races and we won championships with that number, and we'll continue to. And I'm sure we'll win a 500 with the number as well. And it's homage to him. And it's a very spiritual number as well. It means you're where you're supposed to be. So we want to represent that number going forward.
A lot of good vibes there. So this is a driver in the past that was not allowed to drive. So great job. Santino, you've been a great help here in Detroit and helping us through the years, and you've been a great advocate for us. Talk about what it means to come back here. And obviously you're racing, you have the bow tie on your chest here too. A little pressure there to race here in the Chevrolet with a spotlight on you?
Man, yeah. As a kid, I grew up a car nut, and I've always been a Chevrolet fan. My family's always had Chevys. I have a Corvette, so it's one of those things. I drive a Chevrolet truck. Being here in the Motor City is a unique experience in that respect because someone that loves car history, it's like a kid in a candy store for me. And just being able to come to this race every year, see the city change year over year. Also, I mean, everything that you've done here, Bud, and Penske Entertainment's done for this track, for this venue, to be around the Redden Center, to be the experience with the fans, even the way that we interact with the community is just, it's so unique to every other race that we get to go to with all the small businesses. Just being able to go out in town and, you know, walk around. All the things that we have here in Detroit are very different than, say, Dallas or another major city, to where it's a lot more larger brands. You know, everything here is very small business oriented, in my opinion. And as a driver, it makes it unique. So actually post-Indy, I'm coming up here Tuesday before the race because I want to, relax from the 500, reset my focus on the GP specifically. And, this is one of the few places that I like to come to early because I do love the atmosphere. I love the people, and I love everything that Detroit stands for.
So thank you. This coming weekend, we're racing in Indy with the Indy Grand Prix. We're racing on the road course, not the oval this weekend. Miles has 2 races, back-to-backs, Friday and Saturday. Santino's got the road course race on Saturday. But 2 weeks after that is the Indy 500, the biggest motorsport event in the world. We're going to expect this year 332,000 people in one place at one time, 332,000. Talk about, though, going from a 2.5-mile smooth track, ultra sophisticated in terms of what it takes to win there at Indy at 240 miles an hour to coming to a battle in the streets of Detroit. What's the difference?
Oh, man. Well, kick off with Indy. The 500 is a beast in itself. It's one of those tracks that you have to have a great respect for as a driver. And the second you think you have it figured out, it's probably the one time that you're going to make a mistake. And, Indy's one of the other sayings. When I first came into the sport, I won Rookie of the Year. I was one of the few rookies to finish that year. And the best advice that I got from my teammate Sebastian Bourdais was it's not if you hit the wall at Indy, it's when. And then it's trying to figure out how to learn and overcome from those mistakes. And you're so fine-tuned at that smooth 2.5-mile track where you're doing 240 miles an hour that every sense in your body is just dialed to 11. Then you come to Detroit, where I'm sure, as you know, Jefferson is the smoothest it's probably been in the last 40 years. But for us, we're still swerving around all the manhole covers. So we go from hypersensitive 240 miles an hour to mouth guard, elbow pads, knee pads, any other thing that we can use to get comfortable and tone down the feeling to not get the absolute sense beat out of us, and then wrangle a car and essentially bounce it off the walls for 3 days in a row and hope and pray that everything goes well. And yeah, it's stressful. It's very, very stressful.
And you got walls on this every side of you, right, as well. Yeah. Miles, talk about, you finished 4th here, in fact, in your race here with your first race back to Detroit. Talk about what it takes to be competitive here in Detroit, how precise you got to be fast.
Yeah, as Santino said, you basically have to put in a mouth guard to survive it here. Dodging all the pothole covers and everything makes for very interesting lines on the street circuit for us. Different than it is for other street circuits. I don't really know of another one where you have to sort of dodge different potholes and break in the middle of the track.
No potholes in our city. No potholes in our city.
So it's quite a dynamic course, and that makes it really technical. So for us drivers, it's quite interesting and fun because there's so many different ways of attacking the course. And then for the engineers, that's very fun for them as well too, because you can set up the car very differently than you would on other courses, especially with how your driver's driving it. You might not have a certain setup for one driver because they might be driving it one way compared to another driver. So it makes the pre-race very interesting when you're trying to figure out what to do in your plan. And especially while going about the plan, it makes things quite interesting as you adapt. If it's raining, who knows what happens then. And so it's really fun, though, and it's really fun to pass here, too, though. And I went from 19th to 4th in the race last year, and it proved that, with a fast car, you can still move up in the field. Some street circuits, it's quite hard to pass, especially with the big aerodynamics on our car. That can make it quite difficult to follow other cars. But here, it works out really well. You can get around some people. So it's a great race to be a part of.
We have, you say manhole covers. Michael, 222 manhole covers? 215 manhole covers on our racetrack, by the way. Long Beach, in comparison, we raced in Long Beach a couple weeks ago, had 9. 9. We have 215. And every one of them, by the way, we have to weld down because these cars have so much downforce coming off of them, 4,000 pounds of downforce, they will suck every manhole cover off they go over. if they weren't tacked down. And by the way, we'll also take the welding off afterwards so we can do utility work that has to be done. So it's part of the intricacies that Michael and his team do to build a racetrack. You know, talk about that a little bit, the fact that our cars have so much downforce. At 200 miles an hour, they could drive across the ceiling upside down, right? They say. Talk about what it takes. And by the way, this is the only motorsports series in the world, IndyCar, that has no power steering. Formula One has power steering. NASCAR has power steering. We purposely do not have power steering because we want these cars to be monsters to handle. Stand up a minute. Stand up a minute.
I'm short. Come on.
He's not a monster. So talk about the ability to wrangle a car with 4,000 pounds of downforce, your size, and what it takes physically to do it, Santino.
Yeah, as you can tell, and Bud just demonstrated to everybody, I'm 5'5", 125 pounds. So I am not by any means Joseph Newgarden or Scott McLaughlin, who are like 5'10", 180. So for me, the way that I train and the way that I stay in shape, you know, to drive a car without power steering and with that much downforce, my fitness regimen is just a little bit different. It's a lot more over in endurance. So, but the way that I sit in the car too is very different. So we sit in these cars. The seats are custom molded to us, and same with Miles. So, but when you pull Joseph Newgarden's seat out, it's almost wafer thin because he gets to lay down and sit way back, and he can move his weight around and his legs and everything for weight distribution. I sit very far forward, very far up on the wheel, so I can get on top of it because, you know, short arms over here needs the leverage. But, you know, turning a car without power steering, most of you guys that drive your road cars, when you turn them on, power steering initiates and then it's nice and light. Now, if you ever try to leave your car off and then turn your steering wheel, that's about what it feels like. So, and then trying to do that at 200 miles an hour, you know, for 2 hours, and at the 500, almost 4, it gets tiring rather quick. And then there's the mental side of it too. So it's a lot of work. So, you know, a lot of us eat really well. We have a strict fitness regimen. You know, it's one of those things where you don't take it for granted, and there are no days off.
Absolutely.
So.
Miles, same thing for you, right? The regimen that you have to go through physically and mentally. Talk about that as well, too, on the mental side of things as well as physical.
Yeah, racing is surprisingly quite a mental sport because you have the physical aspect that Santino talked about, but at the same time, as you can imagine, you have all these different variables happening around you at such a high speed and such a high rate while trying to pay attention to these forces, not to mention trying to understand your car and its limit each and every lap, the tires and how they're wearing each and every lap, what you want from the car to tell to the engineer each and every lap, and what to do with your tools to make it better each and every lap.
Almost corner by corner on that.
Corner by corner sort of a thing. So your processing ability and your sensory ability has to be at a very heightened rate and capacity in order to take in everything, to fight the best and be the best, to not only stay in the sport but to win. And it takes a lot of focus, work on and off the track in order to achieve what you want out of the car and what the whole team wants.
You know, when Michael Montry and I decided to move the track from racing from Belle Isle to downtown, it was like, that's impossible. We would disrupt business. We couldn't do it. We have an international border crossing, but yet we designed a track that we don't close one business down, not disrupted, and the border crossing remains in effect. So you have 195-mile-an-hour cars going over here and people going to the border crossing at 25 mile an hour. It's pretty cool. It's pretty amazing, by the way. We've created that. We also couldn't find a pit lane. In every place you go to, you have to have a place to pit your car, change the tires, and put fuel in. That's 1,000 feet of space. We didn't exist here. So we created the first ever dual pit lane, where cars will pit on the right, cars will pit on the left, and somehow, as being gentlemen, you'll find your way out. Talk about that dynamic, Santino.
When we first heard the idea, it was one of the most insane things on paper. So if you read this as a race car driver, you're going, how do you separate the sides? What happens if someone spins in pit lane? Because that's happened. And, you know, doing it here in Detroit and seeing what Bud and his team have come up with, it is one of the most unique experiences because you get to see other people. When you pit under caution, like we had a race last year with yellows and all sorts of other things going on, and it was chaos. When you're racing other people on pit lane, now you're not just racing people in front of you, you're racing people next to you. So you're just looking around at all the what's happening, and then you have the blend line, which is once we hit the exit of pit lane, whoever's in front or behind does have to give way. So it will come down to a little bit of a gentleman race. Under green flag conditions, though, there's no gentleman line, but it goes from 8 car lengths wide to 1 in about 220 feet. So it's going to be whoever decides they want to have the most stones that day. But yeah, it definitely is a little entertaining for sure. It's a very cool experience. Honestly, Victory Lane, which is where I hope to be here come 24 days, is above pit lane. It's elevated. It's a proper ceremonial place. Like I said, everything about this track was so well thought out. Everything's executed so well. It's technical. It's fun. I mean, the asphalt to concrete changes to the 256 manhole covers to, yeah, everybody that makes this place go around, including the 1,500 volunteers that you guys have. I mean, it's such a, I said, it's special, and it's always going to be that way.
Oh, great. So especially having you guys here as well, too. We wish you all the best at the Indy 500 miles. You got 2 races next week as well, too. Wishing you the best there, and I'll throw it over to Tony next. Is that correct, Tony? All right. Thank you all. Couple questions. Audience questions.
Okay, we've got some great questions from the audience. Are we ready?
Oh, boy.
We're going to send this over to Santino first. Do you prefer street courses or speedways?
I prefer short ovals. Short oval speedways are always fun. I've got a lot of success on all of those, from Milwaukee to Iowa. Street courses are definitely a close second for me. Just the same level of excitement, just the sensory level of needing a mouth guard versus maybe not is a little bit more comfortable at times. But they're both very incredible and challenging tracks in their own respect.
Great. Miles?
I love street courses. I'm a big city guy. Anytime we can race in the city, I'm all for it. I love a street course. And yeah, the mouth guard, you know, it is what it is, honestly. Just suck it up.
We're going to stay with you, Miles, because other than Detroit, of course, what is your favorite race? Other than Detroit.
So I always tell people I love the St. Petersburg Grand Prix, which is another street circuit. It's the beginning of our season, so it's really popular there. You know, tensions are high. Everyone's coming off of the preseason testing and everything. So that's a fun event to go to, too. It's also in sunny Florida. And we kind of come off of an airport runway, kind of banking into the city and everything, and then you pass by these yachts and everything. It's got a very, like, Monaco vibe, so I love that course, too.
Great. Bud, it's your turn. So you spent a few years on Belle Isle, and this big transition to the city of Detroit, which was incredible. But what you left behind on Belle Isle is incredible also. Can you share some of the things that Penske Corp did to make Belle Isle so much better than it ever was?
Well, if you recall, Roger was the chairman of the 2006 Super Bowl, right? And a lot of work had gone down in our city at the time to make it a good place to be. In fact, think about that at the time, Woodward Avenue, we were painting the buildings gray that were all boarded up so they would look somewhat presentable. We painted them. No longer do you have to do that, obviously. That was in 2005. But people ask the question, you know, what next, Roger? When Super Bowls come and go, they typically don't leave a legacy. They don't leave a legacy. Think about that. What's been the legacy of other Super Bowls? And Roger's legacy was we're going to bring racing back to Detroit. We're going to put it on Belle Isle, because Belle Isle was a tough place then. It really was. It was a drug haven, a lot of crime. The city didn't have the resources to really take care of it back then as they knew they could. So we went back there and we felt that we could make it much better. And through the course of spending $13 million of our money over the course of several years, we made it a place to properly race. It was a great racetrack too, wasn't it? So the improvements we made to Scott Fountain was not running when we went to Belle Isle. We put over $500,000 into Scott Fountain to get it running again, and of course we hope it's running here now after we left Belle Isle. You know, the casino, which has so many weddings every year, was dilapidated, wasn't running. We built 2 bridges. So the constant benefits of giving back were part of all of that. But Belle Isle had run its course. It's a state park, right? And there were some people didn't want us in that state park, and we understood that. And Michael and I almost pulled the plug, didn't we, Michael? We almost said, we're done. Enough. And we found this place in Detroit, and we knew that Detroit needed this, Tony. So that's kind of our legacy on Belle Isle.
Yeah, I'll tell you, it is a great example of leaving something far better than when you got there. Seriously, it is amazing what you've done.
Thank you.
It really is. Back to our drivers. Let's go to Miles. Miles, how do you hydrate while you're racing? Well, tell us, I mean, where's the water? What do you drink? What is?
Yeah, no, that's probably a better question for Santino, actually, because we, in Indy Next, we don't have a drink tube, but I know the IndyCar drivers, they have a drink tube, and so basically there's water in the, I don't know where it's located in your guys' car.
Oh no, it comes over the shoulder, man.
So it goes through the front of our helmets, and you can drink from the tube and hydrate throughout the race. Our races don't have pit stops. They're a bit shorter, so we don't have a drink tube, but of course we have a water bottle that we drink before the sessions and after the sessions. But yeah, the IndyCar drivers get to do that in the race, actually. Yeah.
It's boiling hot, too. Oh, no, I kid you not. Every time we go to stop, and, you know, every driver does it different. They sometimes have a button on the wheel that shoots water into their mouth, or... No. I do it the NASCAR style, which is I leave the tube sitting on my lap, and then when I pit and I'm hanging out down pit road doing 45, I'll suck on it, and yeah, it's boiling hot. I mean, you can make tea with it, no problem. Yeah. It's like last resort style if you need a drink over the two-hour race.
Hey, Bud, last question, then we're going to do the lightning round, which is big. So 3.5, 4 weeks from now, the race is over, and you're there with your team, with Michael and the whole team and everybody. What do you wish that you can turn around and say, this is what we did, besides winning the trophy, of course, but what you did for Detroit and how you feel about that?
You know, I get asked that question typically in the press conference afterwards, and really for me, it's to see the smiles on people's faces as I walk around. I see some of our great partners here. Michael, you're over there with PNC Bank, and many, many others that are here today. And to see them smile about being a positive event, right? There's no negativity about this event. Nothing. We don't disrupt anything in our city. We just bring positiveness to it. And I hope that people have a chance to come see it. Because when you watch racing on TV, it's a very different dynamic, right? You really have to come see motorsports to be part of motorsports. You really do. So in my mind, it's really to see the satisfaction, Tony, of our sponsors, of the public, of our city leaders that are all part of this, and our state leaders that make it possible too. And my satisfaction is their satisfaction in terms of what we bring to our city and the benefits that we bring. And the smiles to me that you provide are my reward for putting this event on.
Yeah, and it shows. It really does. And, you know, the great support that you have with Chevrolet and Lear and all of your great sponsors, it is amazing. It really is. And I'll tell you, whenever we talk about the parade and other things, the Grand Prix is right in the conversation. It is right there. It is so major. So it's lightning round. Is everybody ready? Drivers?
No.
Drivers, start your engines. We're going to go quick. We're going to start with Santino. Something on your bucket list.
Skydiving.
Okay. Miles?
I'd say, goodness, Indy 500. Come on.
Bud?
Indy 500, good one. Racing there. God, good question. I had a minute to think about it. I've done skydiving, though.
I'm not allowed.
And I'll never do it again. You're not allowed to. You know, you can't do
I'm
that.
not allowed. I'm too nuts.
Yeah. A bucket list for me would be taking my family on a vacation to Australia, something I haven't done yet on my bucket list.
Great. Okay, next question. They're going to get tougher as we go. Let's start with Bud. The best dish you've ever cooked.
Oh, my God. That would be mac and cheese in college, because I don't cook. The best meal I've cooked, actually, I do not cook. So my wife lives in Georgia, by the way. I live here in Birmingham, so it's a wise apart. So I cook my own meals. And I go to a place called, there's a place on Adams Road in Birmingham called Simply Splendid, and I buy their food and I heat it up. So I love heating their food up. It's gluten-free. Try it sometime. I don't cook. That's my meal, Tony.
Okay. Miles?
I could be butchering the pronunciation, but I think it's pronounced gnocchi. Gnocchi, the pasta.
Very good.
Yeah, that's
Awesome.
I'm good at that.
Santino?
I do a lot of the cooking in my family. My wife doesn't cook as much. So my favorite dish to cook is my late grandma's meatballs and spaghetti with homemade sauce. It's tough because there's really, if anyone here has a Nona, you know that they didn't write recipes down. It was all, it's this, it's this, it's this, and then you should know how it tastes. So I always try to recreate it, and I've come close a few times, but that's one of the ones I'm most proud of.
With the name of Ferrucci, I expect it to be Italian. Yes,
Yeah.
indeed.
Last question, Santino. Describe Detroit in one word.
One word?
One word.
Ferocious.
Miles?
What is it?
Ferocious.
Energetic.
Energetic. Bud?
Well, grit, right? Gotta have grit.
Grit. We love that. Now, the Detroit Economic Club always ends with this last question, but these guys aren't that old, so I have to kind of move it around a little bit. So we'll start with Bud. Bud, advice to your 25-year-old self.
Advice to my 25-year-old self. That was a long time ago, by the way. Find your passion. Find your passion. I came out of college, I had a great job with a company that I found my passion. I chased a shiny object to go somewhere else and lost my passion, but I found it again 20 years later when I joined Penske. So find your passion.
Great. Okay, now, for our drivers. You guys, I can't do the 25-year-old thing, but I can twist it around. Tell us your vision when you're 30 years old. What's happening in your life, Miles?
Vision when I'm 30. I have a book. I have at least one Indy 500. Sorry, Santino. Maybe
okay.
One too.
Well, you got a couple more years to 30 than I do.
And an IndyCar championship.
Great. Santino?
Man, I like the 25-year-old question because that was a year ago.
No, you don't get it.
Oh, man. Vision for when I'm 30. I don't know. I need to talk to my wife, but maybe potentially a child at some point. So, but definitely not, if not one, multiple 500 wins. So I know that's more of a when for me than an if at this point. And yeah, I honestly love my job. I hope nothing changes. It's very fortunate to do what I do, and I wake up every day hoping I get to continue doing it.
Great. Thank you so much. I'm going to turn it back over to Steve. Thank you.
Right.
Wow, fascinating. Santino and Miles, thank you so much. We look forward to seeing you on the streets of Detroit. Thank you, Bud. Thank you for all you do and for helping us with today's program. Tony, you're amazing. You're welcome to be a presiding officer anytime. So, all right, folks, it's time to help our CRA students graduate. If your schedule permits, please network with these terrific graduates as they show off their networking and elevator pitch skills. Graduates, we're here to help you, every single one of us. Remember what I told you in session 1. Put into practice the things that your amazing mentors taught you, and everything's going to be okay. It's just going to be okay. Don't get stressed. All right, on time, every time. Show us what you learned. Detroit Economic Club is now adjourned. Thank you.
This is all part of our partnership with the Detroit Economic Club, and we'll be bringing you more of these conversations throughout the year, streaming here on Local 4 Plus. Thank you for watching.